So this is just basically a cylinder to start with. A little bit of a curve in it. I'm going to leave a bottom in it. And
You didn't carve out those feet from the thick bottom?
no, I didn't. I think we have problems with cracking in the bottom of the pot if I had that much clay there to start with. Although that's an option, that's a possible way to do it. When I do make the bottom of these, I spend a lot of time compressing the clay, and especially with this clay today, it's fresh clay, it's really short, which means it's not plastic, it hasn't aged much. And you add some dry clay into it, don't you? When you're mixing it?
Ball clay?
You put in dry ball clay and dry fire clay? Yeah, that's going to make it short too. So I suppose that after a few days this clay will get really stiff, won't it?
That's pretty fast, yeah. Not super stiff, but it definitely hardens up.
Yeah. Leave a little bit of extra clay up here. That's where I'm going to make the shoulder of the pot to hold the lid on it. So this will be my last pull. And I'll shape it a little bit. Right here is where I'm going to stop for the shoulder. I'm not thinning it out, I'm just getting rid of these drawing rings. I'll give it also some, I'm going to create the squared off effect by drawing my finger up on the inside from the bottom to the top. And if I don't bow it out like this, the sides get a bit of a concave look. If it goes straight up and I pull out on the finger, then that gets concave. And it looks a little, just doesn't have the look that I want. So I'll have this bow out a little bit here. Is there a needle tool around here that someone could loan me?
Yeah, you got there.
So it's going to be squared off, so I'll mark off kind of 4 spots on the wheel here where create a perpendicular that thing.
Any of the awesome time.
Oh, nice. So I start by, I got these marks on the wheel. Draw it straight up here, just pushing out here a little bit. You can see how short the clay is. This problem I thought I was gonna have. I'm gonna have to come back and fill that in later.
So you only go up to where you had that shoulder and then you're gonna pull that in?
Yeah, I'll fill that in.
How long do you usually let your clay age?
I'll throw it the same day. I mix it together out of the pug mill. I think I have a bigger pug mill. It's got a bigger vacuum chamber, so I think it's a little more efficient at pulling out the air than this one here.
Yeah.
So it works a little better. But I'll let it age. I don't try to age in a specific length of time. But a couple weeks should be enough. Where did I put the darn here to where to go? Here, I'm not going to put a new bottom in there, but I'm going to use this bottom that's here. So I'm going to cut through here like this, right where the base meets the bottom of the clay. And I'm going to push that in here like so, and attach it at the bottom. I don't know if you could see it over there, but I'll do it on all four sides. So right where the wall comes up from the base, that little extra clay, I just work into the bottom here.
Why do you have to make the cut?
I don't have to, but I do it to make the bottom more squared off. I could paddle it too.
Yeah, I thought you could do it with your finger or something and you wouldn't have to.
Oh, I actually moved the clay. I put the needle all the way through. This whole wall is going to move over. Make this cut. Because if you can see closer, it's only moving in about ½ an inch. The bottom's moving in a little bit. But I can't just push it in, and then I could, but I'll have a finger mark in there. It'll go in at a curve. I want it to be more right angle. And then I work the bottom here, flatten that out so there's no finger marks in the ridges. And I could take this edge here, come up on this edge here like so. The bottom just looks a little crisper that way if I cut it instead of just push it in. Didn't like that, did I? And I'll cut this extra stuff off here.
Is it hard to keep the top round when you're doing that, or?
Yeah, I'm going to make it round after it's not finished at the top.
Oh, okay.
Sounds like a public service announcement. Like the train's coming or something? So I'll work this top again here. Now what I'll also do the next day is I'll add a little clay on here to make the corners pop out a little bit. Yeah, do it this way. What?
Where would you add that?
Right here in the corner. If you notice on that one, it comes out more to a point there.
I mean, just a little down the side of the...
Yeah, I'll take a little ball of clay and then I'll flatten it out that way and then come back and flatten it. It's a little extra work. And some people don't notice it. But I think it makes it look better. This kind of technique, you should only do these lines once. Every time I come back and do it, it's a little more messed up. So I got this, and then I will take this off the wheel and measure this for a lid. I'll take that off and make a lid for it right away. And my wire is, I used it, here it is. There we go. Put that here. Everyone, that.
That was my doings there.
So the top lid, I'm gonna get a large flange on so we can square it off a little bit. Need to measure that here.
Is that a piece you would throw in the series? Tim? Is that a kind of piece you'd throw in the series?
Yeah, I'll probably make 10 or 15 of that kind of shape and size.
Mhm.
So I'll make all the bottoms first and then all the tops. And usually, well, each lid will find a thing that fits on. They won't all be perfect.
After this build, could you show the one lid that you do that you throw off the hump that includes the knob on
Oh,
top?
yeah.
That's really interesting to watch. Like cuts through all this stuff.
That can live here. No. But if I wanted to do a different kind of lid on there, like Louis was mentioning, I made that one to resemble the lid that's on there. I'll add a knob on that one. But to throw a knob on the lid, it's pretty much the same, only you finish it and take it off the wheel a little different. I'll add a knob onto those, because then I can add a square knob on. This one could be squared off. So the idea of this one is just squeezing it off here at the, where it's attached to the hump of clay. And making the lid right on the, making the knob right on the lid. Takes a little practice to get it so it doesn't fall totally off. And you have a knob already attached on it, which is kind of handy. And that can be, once it gets flipped over and get the pot back on the wheel, the lid can go on the pot and you can trim down the knob a little bit. So it's easier to fit. So, I don't know what else to make. Anybody got an idea or suggestion?
You probably think small size?
Yeah. The thing is, I would probably, throwing off the hump, I would like to trim them, but I don't know if I'll get to that today. But I could do some things without having to trim too much. Like little, what do they call unomis, like a little drinking vessel.
This time I heard Mackenzie say he was gonna make a you know me. I thought of the English sound of it, that it's something you know me, because I
Yeah.
know so many.
Everyone says, yeah, we know you. I have a treadle wheel at home, like one of the treadle wheels over there, and they're fun to throw things on, like small things like this, because the wheel goes so slow, and you know, you got your whole body involved in propelling the wheel. But when you slow the wheel down, lot more of the hand contact is on the clay. You can see where the hand is touching the clay a lot easier. Kind of shape is I don't know if it has an official name or anything, but this kind of shape feels real good to hold in your hand. The shape it has. Get rid of some of those lines.
You could have blinked and missed it.
Now that'll look nice when it's trimmed up and a little texture on it.
The one thing I'm interested in seeing is that I still don't know how to do is long necked bottles. How to keep that neck part thin, even though you can't reach it. You know what I mean?
Yep. Well, doing
Or how to even throw that.
Well, it's easy with a tool.
Yeah. Oh, with the tool inside.
Well, just a lot like this, the inside for the neck.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll use that for the inside. Starts out again like with a cylinder.
I notice when you do your pulls, you actually have like your hands in motion like that.
Yeah.
Is this part of your thumb resting above what you're pulling, or is it on what you're pulling?
Boy, I don't know. Pay attention.
Because that's interesting. I see when a lot of people pull with their knuckles, their thumb is just like a part of their knuckle or under in some way, try to get it out of the way. And it looked like it was actually guiding the clay like in your hand.
That's a good point.
I don't think it has any, I think it's just to get it out of the way from the knuckle. I don't think it's doing anything that good. Well, those throwing rings are kind of nice looking. I think I'll leave those in. Stretch it out a little bit. loose this part here. If you want to get this really nice and long, you can use this on the inside here. You might want to use this way, but I think it's easier to do it this way. I'm just pressing against, got the clay like this,
Okay.
so I'm kind of squeezing it on two sides against this.
Oh.
That also smooths out the inside of the neck for throwing marks. And compresses it quite a bit. This is just a demo. I don't really like making these tall skinny ones. That one don't look too bad. I'll get this. Just get in there. Got a little ball right there. I did have a wire, didn't I? There it is. One nice thing about these kind of shapes that curve in at the bottom, it makes them very easy to lift off the wheel. Well, since I didn't make all this clay up, I better start getting rid of it.
So, Bill, I'm kind of curious, have you had training in any other kinds of arts and crafts or anything else that might affect your pottery? Or?
Actually, no, I had high school art and, stuff like that. Basic design classes, painting and drawing, but I haven't focused on anything other than pottery. I did glass blowing at college for a while. I liked that a lot. I really thought I could be a glass blower, except for the money to get started. It was way easier to start as a potter. I mean, clay was cheap,
Yeah.
and you could fire pots in a pit kiln if you wanted to. I mean, that's one kind of form of pottery I don't see much of, is pit fired pots. How many balls are left there?
4. And then
There's 4 left.
4 left.
Can you demonstrate those small handles that you have kind of near the tops of the bottles?
Oh, those are just pinched in the side of it.
All right.
Then I added some clay on the inside so they don't crack apart. Right.
I think you mean the one with the profile line on it, the bottle?
Yeah.
The ones that look like eye holes? You know,
The ash white one?
this guy.
Yeah.
Those are just pinched in there.
Yeah, it's interesting to see though.
Well, let me try one of those. Let's try one of those. I'm gonna start, yeah, I'll do this one, make a big oval one here. What happens when you, those eye holes, those handles that he was talking about, they get, just the sides that get pinched off after it gets oval. The clay wants to spread out again when it dries. So you have to add a little clay underneath there, or add it on the outside to prevent that cracking. If the cracking is an issue. Are there some more of those small boards like that? Yeah. Just a couple of those. Can you send it off in the car somewhere?
Behind that big one over here.
All
I
right.
don't know if that's that good.
If you want to get things to get tall when you're throwing them, if you notice when I'm throwing this, it starts out wide at the bottom, but I compress the bottom each time I pull up, so the bottom gets a little smaller. So when I started this one, when it was centered, the clay was out to here. The first time I remember when I pulled it from the outside, I compressed all that clay on the bottom, made the bottom a little smaller, and the next two pulls I did the same thing. So the bottom keeps getting a little smaller each time. To make a cylinder, it starts out like this, and then it gets like this, and then finally it gets straight up and down at the end. It doesn't start out like this, because there's going to be a lot of torque from the bottom if you try to pull it all the way, center a piece of clay and pull it up from the, without enough of a base to support it. See, the bottom's getting smaller here. And I'm thinking of my thumb, and that's just kind of riding on the back behind my finger. If it's guiding or not, I couldn't tell you. It just seems to be more out of the way there.
Inside of your fingers, just a little above your thumb.
Yeah, above my knuckle. That's pretty thick at the bottom, but I'll live with it. No one's going to be using this to pick up anyway.
turn up and down like that to compress the wall?
Yeah, and compress them and get the shape I want there. I'm going to do a lip on here that gets folded over, which is really good for this clay that's right on the pug nose. It's a good way to make a nice strong lip on here. Even for wide bowls, if you make a wide bowl and flip the edge over, that strengthens it quite a bit. This is where you flip it over here like this. Since I have so much clay at the bottom, I can trim some of that off now. But all that extra clay on the bottom helped me get it this tall. I tried to get all that clay up. I would have probably made it. Clay is too thin on the bottom to support the clay, and it would have torqued and looked bad. I'll see if I can make this oval. Usually I wait at home for an hour or two so that it dry out just a little bit on the outside. But I have the handy torch with, so I think I'll employ the torch. Comes in handy. Hey, now there's a nice texture. Save it for later. So, let's see. Let's try these here.
Is that why you use wood bats instead of plastic?
Is that what?
See, is that why you use wood bats instead of plastic?
Yeah, because of the flame? Yeah, I did a demo in Duluth once, or Superior, up in Superior.
Yeah.
And he had masonite bats, Formica bats.
Formica. How'd that work out?
Boy, it sounded like a gun going off. It popped. It did, really. BAM! I said, oh, come on, it's not going to hurt it. Grittner, Mr. John Grittner was teaching there. You're gonna wreck my bats. Ah, that's not gonna hurt him. Bam! I looked around, oh, my bat, you just wrecked it. I'm sorry. You see, this is a little sticky still.
Could this be a good opportunity to blow into the pot as well? That was something that was, no, not so much.
That's your job.
Yeah, that's cool.
Usually what I use some pieces of sheetrock too for this. Sheetrock absorbs a little water a little quicker than the wood. We do have some.
We got that too.
Oh, well, I'm almost done now.
Yeah.
Now when I make the openings here, I have a little problem with this clay because it's so short. So I'm going to take a little dowel. Stir that through about there. This is cracking there so often. Pay a little attention to that edge up there. That's kind of how that works.
Where did you say you were gonna add clay? Where did you say you would add from?
We have clay in there, but I can't really reach it. Without messing this up too bad. Either that or I'll just add some clay out here. I might put another ball of clay on there and work with it later on when it stiffens up a little. And then smooth it in. And then depending upon how refined I want those holes to be, I'll work on those a little more too. But another way to decorate is with one of these quarter rounds from the lumber industry. Now later on, you can come back and put some texture. This is kind of divided up into 4 different sections, so it can be used for different decoration patterns or slip trailing or something like that, or glaze trailing. So how long do the high school kids have here? Oh, 70 minutes? Guys have got anything you're working on at school? I just want to show off a little.
Anything I can do better than you?
Cups?
Yeah, we did cups and then bases. Not that big though.
Basic and cups? Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll make some cups. Cups are fun. This one's heavy.
It's all water.
Looks nice though.
I need to put a handle on that picture too. So I'm just going to torch that for a bit. Let's get it ready to take a handle. Then I'll make some cups.
Let's hold on to it for a couple hours.
All right.
You set it over here.
Flowers would be good. So when you make cups, if you have an assignment, make a cup.
Yeah, we already did it.
Oh.
We did it like slabs.
Oh, I see. Well, when you're making a cup, you gotta wonder, you gotta think about how you're gonna hold it, how the handle's gonna attach to it. What's the handle's gonna look like on there. A cup is something with a handle, right?
Yeah.
And so you can make it, like this piece here is good, something that has a little recurve in it somewhere is well suited for a handle going there. The handle doesn't have to get too far away from the cup so you can use it. It can be pretty close and still have room for your fingers in there. And if you want a cup, you want to use one finger or 2 fingers or all 4 fingers to hold it up? That's something else you got to think about when you're making a cup. So before you start making a cup, you got to think about the handle, or how it's going to be used. That's what I try to do. Okay. And I throw those individually. I weigh out a whole ball of clay and make those, and this is about 1 pound of clay, I guess. A little more. And cups are, when I was doing production cups, I would get them down to my centering and opening and one pull up, and then I shaped it. But I used a profile rib. The rib that instead of straight had a little curve in it, so I could just pull it up to the curve of the rib. Another thing to think about of the cup is the lip, where your mouth is going to be touching the mug. You don't want that to be too sharp or too round. When it tapers to a little bit more of a point up here, it's going to feel a lot better on your lips when you're drinking from it. There's a simple mug that's gonna be able to, you can place a handle on this that can have room for all 4 fingers by starting the handle up here and attaching it down here, or you can have a two-fingered handle that starts in the middle, goes down here, or up here. So there's a few things to think about when you're making a mug.
Just pull your handles on the mug.
Yeah, and when I make a handle, I just roll out some coils of clay or through an extruder and then cut them to length, stick them on, and then pull them off. And I like to see the handle when I attach it on the mug. I like to see a little wider at the base where it comes down to the base, so it looks like it's kind of growing out from the bottom, like a tree branch.
Opposite a lot of.
Yeah, I know. I just call those other ones, they look like rat tails.
Better a tree branch than a rat tail.
Yeah, that's right.
Kind of bored.
Not bored. Thanks for coming, guys. Another thing to remember about a mug is not making the base so small that when you put a handle on it, it tips over. Something to remember, or you will remember after doing it again. Mugs I like making because something you don't have to think of too long when you're making a mug. There's a couple of forms I use sort of a lot. One more form would be narrow at the base and the top.
When you start a day in the studio, do you start off with a bunch of mugs and then move on to bigger pieces? Or
No, it depends upon what I'll usually start by making, for a throwing cycle, I'll start with big things, because they take longer to dry. And then my things will get smaller as it progresses towards the firing.
Okay.
Because I can fire some things, I can make some small things one day and decorate them the next day and put them right in the kiln right away. So I do it, it makes more sense to go from small to big. But I usually wait too long to have that luxury. I sit around until the deadline's approaching and I gotta start working to get the kiln filled.
So you don't like make a variety during one session? You'll do one kind of piece in the session?
I try to do different stuff all the time, so.
How many hours a week do you spend in your studio?
Well, some weeks I don't go in there. So it's probably like Bruce said, what, a third of my time maybe is in the Actually, even less than a third of my time is making stuff.
So do you have your work in galleries or do you have sales at home? Or how do you?
Both. I have work in the Northern Clay Center, Grand Hand Gallery in St. Paul, up in Duluth at Waters and Superior, and St. Cloud at Paramount. And there's another gallery. There's a few other galleries that call me. A lot of galleries want to try my stuff on consignment, but a lot of times on a consignment basis, I end up having to go back and take the pots out because they're just being stored in another place. Basically, I sell a few, but not enough to make it worth my while. Some other galleries I have to deliver stuff to once a month.
So what's the difference between consignment?
Well, consignment is where the store just borrows your work to try and sell it. And if they sell it, they'll split the money with you. But if they don't sell it, they just call you up and say, come and get your
So
stuff.
otherwise, they buy it from you and sell it?
Yeah, wholesale.
Okay.
And then they pay you up front and half, 50% of your selling price. But when I do a wholesale contract, I'll have a minimum of a certain amount of money before I'll sell wholesale. So I don't want you to sell one piece wholesale. So, did Mark know when we were going to do the slides?
I'll go ask you.
Nice. Real slides, Bill?
I got the real slides, yeah.
Real deal? Not uploaded from the cyberspace? Photo.
Antiques.
Yeah. Ektachrome deteriorates pretty. I've got some Ektachrome too, you can see what they look like.
I have some, I'm old enough to have some slides, some work on slides. Just barely, but.
Yeah, barely old enough?
Yeah, barely.
I got tintypes.
You know what?
I got tintypes.
I got petrol.
Petroglyphs of yeah, my
Nobody else is old enough to even know what they are.
Well, I learned how when I was 16.
Are you out of high school or in high school?
Yeah, in high school. But I started making money at it about, actually 39 years ago. And I've had to take other jobs once in a while. But since 74, I've been making most of my money at pots or teaching pottery. So there's nothing else I can do.
You don't want to break your arm?
No, I don't.
You go into politics.
Yeah, he's already done that.
Yeah,
I told him he should make a run at he could be the next Hugo Chavez, and he could make a run at the governor, and he said with arms flailing, it's something like that. It went, and then I added with a knife or.
Well, I think I'll throw these last four into one piece. I don't know if you can fire it here or not, but I can.
They can add sections on the bisque kilns. They
Okay.
have two sections.
Okay, this will be the top one here.
We might have to figure out how to pit fire.
Yeah. Or just send it back to you in pieces.
So you said that you've teached before, like full classroom teach, or?
Well, I teach at a college, community college like this in Wilmer right now, and I've taught some community ed classes as well.
So my question to you is, what do you emphasize most to the beginning students?
Have fun.
Have fun?
Yeah. Community ed students, I'll tell them, if they want to make a teapot or a dinnerware set, they should, it'd be cheaper than to buy it from me than take the class. Really, because they'll pay, I don't know, $120 for a class and end up with maybe between 5 and 10 pieces of beginner stuff. So I said, this is just for fun. This is more like therapy, really, for you guys. Unless you're going to do, think of a career move, just have fun in the class. Bring wine to class and have fun. Because
Yeah, I know them.
it's just going to be frustrating for them if they don't.
Contract.
realize that. They want to, and I've had a couple people drop out. It was just too hard for them to make that ideal piece.
We've had students here who say that this was the most rigorous class they've ever taken compared to other classes here.
Well, because of Mark. It's tough.
One of the tutors is kind of hard to get along.
Not me. That guy. I'm easy to get along with. I was gonna say, I don't know if you were poking at me, but then I realized that.
Have you heard on him?
If they leave the studio dirty, yeah.
So, what do you expect?
No. Sorry. I was a pig. He's training me to be a professional cleaning flower.
There's no point.
I mean, unless you have to do your own laundry. Then you just have to do less laundry.
Yeah.
Your students.
That's a good question.
What was the question? What did you ask?
What do I expect of the students?
To have fun.
Well,
That's what we're in here for.
That's what they're in there for. College, taking their first or MS class, they need 1 art credit, and so they're gonna.
okay, but as a teacher, you should still try to keep that role of a teacher, not just a buddy.
Yeah.
You gotta try, you gotta do something, but you can't just come to class and do Sudoku, for example.
Yeah.
If that's what you think fun is. If you're in a ceramics class, you gotta do something.
Oh, you gotta have fun with clay. Whatever is being, must be made. Doesn't have to be pretty to anyone else except for you.
Yeah, I don't think that's fair for beginners that you expect them to, and if they're taking 1 class for art credit, you can't expect them that they're going to make a, 30-inch tall pot, for example, or whatever the rules might be or the guidelines might be. I don't think that's fair. But I mean, to make an effort, they should be making an effort. If everything they make fails, that's fine, but they kept trying it. You can tell when somebody's trying and when someone's not.
Yeah, I'd say I'd expect, determination if they're really wanting to get the highest grade.
Yeah.
Just to be determined to learn how to put out.
Yeah.
Because you can clearly see who's determined and who's not, and you can see the difference in quality at the end of the semester.
Well, just if you watch them when they're in the classroom too. You can see who's trying and who's just wants the grade. I don't know. I don't like grading, but that's part of the job description. When you get a job as a teacher, you got to grade them. I'm hired as an adjunct because I don't have a bachelor's degree. So they hire me as an adjunct, so I kind of feel like an outsider of all the teachers there. Of course I am. But the second year I taught, the first year it was, I thought, oh man, now I know why I remember now why I didn't want to be a teacher. But my attitude was really bad the first year. It wasn't fun. But they did ask me back the next year. I thought, well, I'll have a different approach this year. So I said to the students on the first day of class, if anyone in the class just is here for a passing grade, I can make a deal with you. You'll get a passing grade in exchange for not coming back to class. And nobody did. Nobody took me up on that. And some students never came back to class anyway, except the last week, and they wanted to know if they were going to pass. I said, I don't even remember who you are, and no, you're not going to pass. But I offered them an out.
Yeah.
Nobody took me up on it. And I suppose that's really not a good practice to get into.
Unless you want to enjoy your job.
Some of the other teachers thought that was a little crazy.
That is it,
Why don't
right? It's a-
But I mean, there was one job position at the school for ceramics, 3-credit class. The other art teacher didn't want to teach it. And by state law, I guess, Minsky, you need to be working on a master's to have a teaching degree or have a master's, to have a teaching job. And I said, well, the guy, Dean asked me out there, I know the Dean, he said, come on up, if you're interested in teaching the class. I said, listen, I don't even have my bachelor's degree. I said, well, you know, we can make an exception to the rule, because we posted for a person with a master's. When nobody takes the job, you can offer it to somebody like you as an alternative. So I said, fine, but I don't get in on the price ladder or all that. You know, I don't get an increase every year unless they feel like giving me, or I don't get any perks. But I get some money. See some movies. I'm gonna take a bath.
Did Eric get you? I've been home.
Oh. Did Eric go home?
I don't know.
Hey, Mark, you said we can bring wine to class.
What's that?
You said we can bring wine to class.
That was for my community ed class. Don't let them tell us.
Selective hearing.
Well, they don't say nothing about car bars, so you can go car bar all you want. My car's always open. If the bartender,
Bus bar?
the bartender gets 50. Oh yeah, bus bar, right? You can bus bar. They don't say much.
You know, a lot of the bar. Keep you up.
A lot of bums do it.
What a guy does in the privacy of his own bicycle is nobody else.
Yeah. True statement.
That is kind of a true statement. Because no one can catch them. Someone's pissed walking by, they can't catch them. Someone's pissed in a car, they can't catch them. Only other bikers. Daring.
And then there's the famous snowboard bar.
Yep, that's the car bar. That's the car bar.
I did the car bar for the first time. I was above the car bar for too long.
What's this? That's some interesting peanut brittle. That's it's toffee.
I punched him. But that didn't work.
Almond toffee.
No, you didn't.
That's similar to peanut brittle though, isn't it? Almond toffee. If you had peanut toffee, that's close to peanut brittle.
Trying to work.
Everything.